Well, that was a very entertaining match, but Carlos Alcaraz ultimately gets the job done and he beats Andrey Rublev 6-7, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 in a very thrilling four-set match. And yeah, it was quite interesting. I just didn't expect that to happen. Rublev completely outplayed Carlos Alcaraz in the first set. It was very interesting. He was up 4-1 at one point, got the early break on him because Carlos just made way too many unforced errors. He was trying way too many things and it cost him. And it cost him early up in the match, but then he was able to get it back on serve because he's just that good. And Rublev had a few very impressive points in the tiebreak, and he was able to steal that tiebreak, which is rare because Carlos is usually one of the better players in the entire tour on tie breaks. But Rublev got the first set, and it was a question mark of what was going to happen the rest of the match. You still favored Alcaraz to win just because the longer matches go, the better he becomes. He becomes better as the pressure increases and as the match gets longer because he's just that good. But who knows? Dropping the first set, no matter who you are, is never good, and it can cost you, so you never know truly what is going to happen. But then Carlos just turned on God mode. He just became amazing. And it was crazy because Rublev didn't even play that bad. Rublev played that fine, I think. Some points he could have played better. How many double faults did he have? He did have a few double faults. He had 4 double faults, exactly. And he had a few just missed forehands where he overshot them, some backhands where he was trying too much and it ended up wide. So it was a little bit of that, but mostly that level from Rublev should beat all but 4 or 5 players on the tour. And those players that are in that category that he wouldn't be, you know who I'm talking about. Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic, a few others maybe would be a bit tricky like a Zverev or a Jack Draper, but that should beat most players on the tour. But Carlos Alcaraz is not most players on the tour. He's different. He's exceptional, and he's the best player in the world. And he just showed some quality. He had one game, I believe it was in the second set when he broke him initially, where I literally asked myself, what can Rublev do? There's nothing he can do. He played as well as he possibly could have. Carlos was just too good. Carlos just hit some returns, just hit some sinking slices, just showed off his insane athleticism. Andy Roddick said that Carlos is maybe the fastest player I've ever seen on a tennis court. And I am not saying that's out of the realm of possibility. He is maybe the most flexible player that we've ever seen on a tennis court. That is also not out of the realm of possibility. It's just exceptional what he's able to do athletically in this sport. And 22 aces. He served masterfully. 82% on first serves. 82% on first serves. Who's beating that? Who's beating that? His serving was exceptional. He got broken one game, but other than that, his serving was beautiful. You can't play much better than that. He saved 3 break points, by the way, throughout the match as well. And oh my God, 68% on second serves, a little bit of a dip, but still really good on second serves as well. Like I said, Rublev didn't play bad. He got a 67% first serve percentage, comparable to Carlos Alcaraz's 68% first serve percentage, 72% on first serves for Rublev, 82%, like I said, for Alcaraz. So you look at the stats, they're pretty good. Rublev himself saved 7 break points. Carlos did break him 4 times, but he saved 7 of those points, keeping him in the match for as long as possible. Tennis players usually know, because of the scoring system of the sport, there's a point where you know, if you're honest, that you've lost the match. But you always think to yourself, I've lost the match, but maybe let me just try to extend it as long as I possibly can. There's some value in extending a match for as long as you possibly can, believe it or not. It's not all, let me just give up and let me just say it's over. And I think that's what Rublev did, and I'm very impressed by him for being able to do that. But what does this mean for Carlos Alcaraz moving forward? He faces Cam Norrie in the quarters on Tuesday, and Carlos has never faced a British player at Wimbledon. I don't know how that is going to be for him. Now, he's miles better than Cam Norrie. He should beat him comfortably, but one thing we know about Carlos is he's someone who does love the fact that the crowd is almost always on his side. He is good with the crowd. The crowd is on his side. How does he react when the crowd is against him? Not because they hate him, it's a little bit different, but just because they love their guys so much. How will he handle that? We'll see. He did beat Jannik Sinner at the Italian Open when the entire crowd was behind Jannik, of course, because he's Italian, but that was also Jannik Sinner, who hadn't played in 3 months, and Carlos just has his number. Styles make fights, like we know. But how much will Carlos have potentially an issue playing a player who's on his home Grand Slam. And the Brits definitely want to see another player win a slam. Who is the next face of British men's tennis after Andy Murray retired? We think it's Jack Draper, but he lost early. So Cam Norrie is going to have to yield that throne. So center court will be behind Cam Norrie. And who knows what happens for Carlos? How will that affect him as a player? I don't see it affecting him that much, but who knows? We haven't seen it yet, and we'll have to see it. But yeah, Carlos, he's definitely getting better as the tournament goes on. But like I said, you would hope that he wouldn't drop sets. You would hope that he would just blitz through people early in rounds. And if you get to a close matchup, have it be in the semis, have it be in the final, where once you get to that stage, we kind of don't care how you win. We just care if you win, especially in the final. We don't care how you do it. Do you win? That's all that matters. But he just drops many of these sets early in matches. I go back to Fabio Fognini in the first round, when it took 4.5 hours for him to beat him. Jean-Leonard Struff, he dropped the set, and obviously Rublev, he dropped the set. Let's see if he drops the set against Cam Norrie. Like I said, he's much better than Cam Norrie, but I hope that he can just blitz through him and, just get the job done. Fun fact, Carlos had actually been on court for over 2 hours longer than Rublev had been on court going into this match. But Rublev has played somewhat harder opponents than Carlos has. Who has Andrey Rublev played so far? Because I'm pretty sure he's taken down some names that are pretty decent names that you would think of. Yeah, Laszlo Djere, Harris, Martorino, yeah, these are all like fringe players type thing. But on paper anyway, just because of how rankings work, these are players who are ranked higher than the players Alcaraz is playing against. But he dispatched of them quickly. I mean, both the Jerry and the Harris matches did go to 4 sets, but those sets that he lost were tiebreaks. So he just been losing tiebreaks up until he faced Carlos Alcaraz, of course. But yeah, hits the ball extremely hard, Andrey Rublev. He does have a few technical flaws in his game, which maybe will limit him for as far as he can go. But regardless, it was Carlos Alcaraz who wins. He's on to the next round. Let's see what he does against Cam Norrie. I'm very excited for that match because how does Carlos do at Wimbledon when a British player is playing there? Because I believe that is a completely different experience that he's never faced before. Can he handle it? We'll see. Thank you.